Back up now.
Yeah.
Okay. $280, $248 download. Jack Garrett's watching. I put my phone on airplane mode. I don't know if that's going to help or not.
It's not going to hurt.
No, Mark, it's not you that's losing the feed. It's something on our end. We've invested in a whole bunch of camera equipment and lighting and microphones and stuff, and we've been having trouble making it work. And we just upgraded to the best internet package that we can get. We ran, I don't know, 3 or 4 dress rehearsals last week. We would turn the thing on and it would stay on for 3 and 4 hours at a time. And we kind of figured everything was okay. And we turned it on tonight, got logged on, and then the thing cut out. So we're not totally sure what's going on, to be honest with you. Looks like a lot of people are coming back. We're going to give it a couple of minutes here, and then I'm going to start. How's everybody doing? Everybody getting out fishing? You need to sort your recording tech. It's been pretty poor for a few weeks now.
Rick Flink said we look and sound good to him.
Okay. Well, I mean, it looks good, and everything is going to work the way that we hope it's going to work. It just we don't know why the thing's cutting out. How does it sound? Does it sound good? Can you switch to the other camera? I'm going to switch to the other camera. Tell me how this looks.
That looks pretty good.
Is my shirt going to be a problem?
With that color, yeah. But being able to, no, because it's focused on the fly and it's not autofocusing.
All right, guys, how's that look?
Rob Giannino is watching.
Hey, Rob, what's up, buddy? Good on my end. Great. All right, we'll give it a couple, 2-3 more minutes, and then.
Which camera do you want?
Looks great. We'll start with the wide one. I got a few things to talk about first. All right, switch back to the other camera.
To the wide one?
To the wide one, yeah.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, okay. It takes, I can see the camera switch, but it takes a little bit for it to catch up over here. So this is new. We'll get it. Everything looks and sounds fine. Okay, we'll get it figured out. All right, guys, let's get started. Hopefully this thing's going to hold up. Like I said, we've got a bunch of new camera equipment. When we get this all figured out, it's going to it's going to make for a better experience for you guys, because we're going to be able to show more detail and so forth. But we're just having some issues, and I think it's our internet service, and we've upgraded to the highest service that we can possibly get. I know last week Tony was having some issues, and you know, I had some people send me some messages, and I saw a comment go past just a little bit ago. You know, we can do this, and we can just stick an iPhone in front of the device like we did for the first several, and we can keep doing that. But we're trying to give you guys a better experience, and we're trying to give you more detail so that you can see better and so forth. And you know, it's a pretty elaborate setup that we have here. And as many people know, if you work in the tech industry, there's one little thing that can go wrong, and the whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket. So I know Tony felt bad last week because he had a way cool setup and the things that he was going to be able to do. And later he found out what the issue was, and it was a simple setting in the computer, and we think we have it figured out. But like I said earlier, we did 3 dress rehearsals on this deal last week, and one we let it run all night. It literally sat down here and it ran the whole night, and Facebook I came down.
Cuts it off after like 5 hours or something, and it cut it off then.
And you know, it was fine. So then, you know, we figure we have everything straightened out. We turn it on tonight and it drops off. So as to understand that we're doing this to try to give you a better experience and to make these lives, you know, so that they're, you know, you can learn from it and you can see from it better. So hopefully this will, keep trying to improve. And that's what we're doing. And every once in a while you stub your toe and I get frustrated. I know Tyler gets frustrated with me because I'm frustrated. So we'll get it figured out. So just bear with us.
You can always count on Steve and Dallas to be positive, so we're good.
What did he say? I appreciate all you guys do. Keep up the good work. Yeah, and that's, you know, I know you guys understand it. So it's frustrating because, you know, the last person in the world that wants this thing to drop out is me. Trust me. So, all right, let's
because I'm the one that gets in trouble for
it. Let's get started here. So tonight we're going to talk about the tube fly attachment, and we get a lot of requests about this, and it's funny. Out where we are and we're now based out of northern Delaware, tube flies on this side of the country are not very popular at all. And to be honest with you, if you were to ask a lot of people out this way, what is a tube fly? What's a tube fly? They would have no idea what you're talking about. You get out in the Pacific Northwest, out around Oregon, Washington area, up into Western Canada, very, very popular. But out this way, not so much. So what is a tube fly and what are the benefits of it? Okay, well, it's a tube fly is basically a fly that instead of being tied on a hook is tied on a hollow tube. Okay, this is a pre-cut tube from HMH. It's kind of like surgical tubing that you would see hooked up to like an IV pump or something like that if you were in the emergency room. That's one of the most popular materials. But it's literally a hollow tube, and you tie the fly on the tube, and then when you rig it, you run your tippet through the end of the tube, all the way out the back side, tie your hook on, and then you can pull your hook right up into the back of the tube here. And there's a couple of different items that we can use to help with the hook, and I'll get into that in a second. But that's basically it. Instead of tying on the shank of the hook, you're tying on the tube. Okay, so what are the benefits of that? Okay, well, one of the benefits, when the fish bites the fly, the idea is that the fly is to detach from the hook, not detach from the tippet, but detach from the hook. It can slide up your leader and be out of the way, and the fish isn't chewing or chomping down on your fly. That's kind of, I believe, one of the reasons that this whole thing kind of started. What system do you use to identify your thread on your bobbin? I will get to that one a little bit later. I got a picture that I will send you. Send me a private message on that, and I will send you the picture of how we do it. So the tube, the fly can slide up the tippet, and the fish isn't chomping on it. That's one of the benefits of it. Another benefit, and I think is even a better benefit, is if you have a fly, conventionally tied fly that's tied on a hook, and you roll the point to the point where you can't sharpen it, or you break the point, or you break the hook. At that point, the fly is no good. And if you some of these type of flies, you may have half hour, 45 minutes. We were out on the smallmouth river today, and Tyler had a new fly.
Oh, really? We're going there. We're going there already.
Tyler had a new fly that he was working on, and it lasted, I think, 3 backcasts. It was gone. So it took 45 minutes to tie, and I think it was in the water for about 30 seconds.
But the important thing is, while it was in the water, it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
It did. So it can make it doesn't make your flies last longer, but you don't have to worry about the hook point breaking or the hook shank breaking or rolling the point to where you can't bring it back with a hook sharpener. So that's a benefit. That's a pretty big benefit. Another one, can you move about the mic 6 inch to the right? That's not a mic, that's a camera. This one here's a camera. Another one, and maybe next time we'll bring the larger camera up a little higher so that it's not in line, but we're kind of rolling now, so I got to leave it where it's at. The other benefit to it is you can tie very, very big or very long flies, but you can use a very short and very heavy hook. And there are special hooks that are made for tying on tube flies. This one is gigantic, but it'll give you an idea. That is not uncommon for what we would use for a tube fly hook. You want to switch to the other camera real quick?
I can, yes. I got like 4 different tabs going on here. I got to click in between all of them. All right. You need to hold it in front of the fly. There you go. And give this. They'll be able to see it. It'll just be a delay.
Yeah, okay. So there is that's a hook, now, albeit a big one, but that's kind of, it would have a very deep bend to it. It would be a very short shank, and it would be a very heavy wire. They can have a straight eye, or a lot of times if we're tying with tubes, they will typically have a straight eye. If we're tying on shanks with a wire, they'll have an up eye. But the idea behind this is that the shorter the shank of the hook, or let me rephrase, the longer the shank of the hook, the more leverage the fish has when he's shaking his head to leverage the hook out of his mouth. So some intruder patterns are up to, like 7 inches long. It wouldn't be feasible to tie those on a hook shank that was that long. And if you did, you would have a hard time. You could hook them, but you would have a hard time landing them. What this does, this little short shanked hook, is it doesn't leverage out of the fish's mouth as easier. So your hook to land ratios will go up, I believe, considerably when you're using shorter shanked hooks. So that's kind of the 3 major benefits to the tube flies. I'm going to switch it back.
All right, it is switch back.
All right. That to me is the biggest advantage. Yeah. Okay.
I love your shirt. Go TFO.
Who said that?
Jim Miller.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So our tube fly attachment, and it comes with several pieces. Very, very easy to install. Okay. You just pop your front hub off. So normally I would have on my front hub with one of my jaw configurations. Okay. You just pop the front hub off, take your tube fly attachment, pop it on, and tighten the screw down. Okay. Now, our attachment consists of, okay, you're going to get one hub, which is the same size or same diameter as the standard inline hub, but the hole is through the center as opposed to being eccentric for our jaws. You're going to get one arbor. You're going to get 3 different collets, and what these are, everything's the same on the outside. On the inside, they have a smaller hole through the middle. So we give you 3 collets because we also give you.
Hey, Steven, make this walk.
Oh, hey, Steven, what's up, bud? We also give you 3 different mandrels, 2 of each mandrel. So you get a 40 thousandths, a 60 thousandths and an 80 thousandths diameter mandrel, and that's for tying on different tubes. So that's, if you have 3 different mandrels, that's why you have 3 different collets. Okay, so this is the arbor. This is the front hub. Okay, very simple. Arbor goes in the hub. You would tighten it down, tighten the screw down. The front screw in the hub the same way as if you were putting in a set of jaws. Then you would put the hub on the center shaft of the vise and tighten the second set screw down, just as if you were tightening the hub onto the vise. And then on the end of the arbor, you'll see you have a threaded end, and these collets will thread right onto the arbor. So if you're using the 80 thousandths mandrel, you would use the collet with the 80 thousandths hole. If you wanted to switch to the 60 thousandths, you would grab your 60 thousandths, and that's the collet you would use for your 60 thousandths hole. If you were using the little guy, the 40 thousandths, you would grab your 40 thousandths, thread it on. Okay, so that's how you swap the mandrels in and out. Now for your arbors, and I'm going to go with the middle size here. Okay, you'll see there's 2 set screws, 180 degrees apart on the arbor. You'll loosen those up, slide the mandrel into the collet, tighten them down, tighten them down evenly, so you may have to do a little bit on each side. Okay, and there is your arbor with your 60 thousandths collet with your 60 thousandths mandrel. Okay, so different tube materials.
As we got a question, would that fit my original 30-year-old vise? It's David Cargyle.
If it's David, if it's the vise that I just serviced for you, no, it will not. This will not. You have the older one with the bigger hubs and the bigger body diameter, and the front hub will not. It will not fit.
What's the largest size mono I can fit into the largest collet?
The largest size mono.
He can fit into the largest.
So he's tying on mono. I want to say a 100-pound test is around 72 thousandths in diameter. I believe that will work. Basically, look on your the spool that you have. If you're using spooled mono, if you're using shock tippet, you'll have to take a measurement of it. The biggest collet that we offer it's an 80 thousandths mandrel, so the collet's 82 thousandths. So if the mono that you're using is bigger than 82 thousandths, it's not going to fit. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Keep moving.
All right, we'll keep moving. All right, so the first one we're going to tie is, let me put this on. I'm going to tie a cool little pattern, and this is what I was just talking to Patrick about.
I figured that when you said you told him today.
Yeah.
Switch cameras?
Yeah, go ahead and switch. All right, let me pull that out. And I'm going to tie on.
That looks really good.
This one. Let me get the right diameter. All right. All right, so this is the 40 thousandths mandrel. Take this off. Put my 40 thousandths collet on.
Wow, it's delayed. It's still there. We go. It just switched, and that looks really good on the iPad too.
Slide this in. Yeah, it does look good. Tighten this down. Now you want to tighten these down even, because these 2 set screws, you want to kind of pinch the mandrel in between. So you may need to tighten one and then tighten the other one just a little bit. You want them to be even. Okay. Make sure I got this tightened. Sometimes we need a little tweaking. There we go. That'll work. Okay, does that look good? Everybody can see that? Okay. All right, now very simple. We're just going to take this tube. We're going to slide it over the mandrel. And let me bring the mandrel out just a little bit. Okay, so there you can see I've got my tube and it's just slid over top of the mandrel. Okay, if you have a tube, and there's a bunch of different tubes that you can use. Like I said, these are the pre-cut HMH, which are kind of like surgical tubing. We're going to tie on another company's product that's called Pro Tube here in a little bit. Guys have used not this type because this is we're cheap here at the O'Neill household, so we get these at Costco. But the actual Q-tip brand Q-tips. This center section here is a hollow plastic tube. And it's actually a decent tube for tying on. What a lot of guys will do is, well, they'll take and they'll cut the ends, the cotton ends off, and this would be a hollow, clear plastic tube, and it's a great tube for tying on. So a lot of guys will tie on that. The spray can tubes, this is actually a WD-40 tube. They changed their logo a couple of years ago. The guys went crazy over the red tubes. Everybody wanted the red tube. Now they've changed them to yellow. I don't know if you can get the red ones anymore, but a lot of guys will use this. It's just a hollow plastic tube. Very, very easy to tie on. Very, very, very good, believe it or not, product to tie on. So there's a bunch of different things that you can tie on. There's brass, machine brass things that are called bottle tubes that you can tie on.
I guess that tube is a close enough color to the green screen that it started trying to put the Nor-vise logo on the WD-40 tube.
Oh, I can see that. Check that out. Okay, well, live and learn. All right. So if you have a mandrel and you have a tube that you want to tie on and the fit isn't quite right, very simple fix for that.
Is that your A-dot Semperfli?
This is my A-dot classic Semperfli. Yeah, A-dot classic. Tie your thread on. Lay down the thread base, and then you just keep test fitting your tube until you get the feel and the force that you want. And if you need a little more, just run a little bit more on. If you're only tying one tube, you can whip it when you get the size that you want. You can whip it and be done with it. If you're going to tie a lot of them, take some take some Solares, put it over top of your thread base, hit it with the light, and then you've got a custom made diameter mandrel for whatever tube you're tying on. This one fits pretty good, so we don't have to do any of that. So I'm just going to take this off real quick. See, the Norvise works in reverse too. All right, now I'm going to slide my tube on. And as far as tying with the vise, the locking, the unlocking, the spinning, and so forth, it all works the same.
Hey, McMinn's watching.
Oh, hey, John, how you doing? All right, so I'm going to tie on here. This is a pattern. This is a Greg Senyo, Patrick Robinson pattern called the Iceman Minnow. It's a very, very, what?
Oh, I didn't know that's what you were doing.
It's a very simple pattern. There's really two material, well, thread and eyes in one material that we're going to use. This represents the smolt, or they call it the alvin stage of the salmon or the steelhead smolts, and that would be the little bait fish as it's coming out of the egg sac, and you get the kind of orange hanging off of what would be his throat or his gill area.
Dana Battery's watching too. He said, "What's up, guys?"
Oh, hey Dana, what's up? So that's what this fly represents. So we're going to lay down just a little bit of thread base, and this is going to kind of represent the egg sac. We're going to stop with our thread right in the middle. We're going to pull some white Senyo's laser dub. We're going to pull a little bit off. You do not need a lot of this. And then what I'm doing here is I'm pulling this hank apart, and then I'm putting it back together in the middle. And what this is doing for me, it's lining all the fibers up. And what I'm going to wind up with is one kind of long, straight piece of dubbing. This laser dub, this is one of my favorite materials to tie with. We do all kinds of stuff with it. Okay.
This is the kind of stuff the laser dub was originally meant for. It's Greg Senyo doing stuff and flies in the Great Lakes.
All right, so that's going to be our lower wing, or this would represent the bottom of the fish. Okay, so there's my hank. I'm going to find the middle, which is about right here. I'm going to lay it right on top of my tube, and I want to keep everything on top. I'm going to do 3 good solid wraps. Okay, now I'm going to take this front portion and I'm going to fold it back, and I'm going to do a couple more good solid wraps right in front. Okay, so that's going to be my underwing, or what would represent the under body of the fly. Now for the top, Senyo's laser dub fluorescent blue, and you can do these in all kinds of different colors. Same thing. We're going to pull this. I just pulled a bit out of the pack, and I'm just kind of pulling it apart and then putting it back together in the middle. Pulling it apart, putting it back together in the middle. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. Okay. I want to find the center, which is about right there. I'll put this right in front of the white that we already tied in. Okay, I'm going to tie it down right in the middle. 3 good solid wraps. Now I'm going to take the front half and I'm going to fold it back.
Matt Schindler said he's like tied one wire before, he'll like wrap it back and tie it off, creating like a coarse thread, and you put your tube on until you hit the wire, and you twist it, and then it holds on to it, and then you can just twist it and pop it off when you're done.
All right, so now I am going to get to the back part here, and I'm going to get my big whip finisher, and I'm going to whip it. Okay, I'm going to cut this off. And I'm going to take my brush, and this stuff's kind of like Velcro. Once you get it on and kind of brush it and get it sticking together, it sticks to itself. It's a super cool material if you haven't tied with it. All right. So that's going to be the body of the fly, the last thing that we need to do. And I'm going to use my indexes here. I'm going to lock it at 90. And I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to get one of these eyes off of here. Yeah, I was worried about that. Okay. Hold on. Bear with me.
Using eyes.
They just
don't stick enough.
Yeah, so we're just going to do a little bit of zap. Very little bit. And I'm just going to put a drop right there.
Looks like we're running on a 19-second delay.
Okay. I don't care how long the delay is, as long as the thing stays on. Okay. There we go. All right. So there's one eye. And we're going to put a little bit of zap on this side. the other eye. Another reason why I like the 90-degree index is because you don't have to guess where your eyes are. You set it at the 90. Oh, you dirty rat.
Call yourself.
Stuck to my finger, yeah.
No, I meant with what you were saying.
No,
yourself.
No, I think I got that under control. Okay. Now, what I'll do, now that I have all that on, I'll take some of my Solaris. This is the thin hard, and I'm just going to give this just going to give my eyes and my thread wraps a coating. We want that orange to show through.
You can take your bodkin and kind of move around before you add it to.
Okay, there we go. Now, this is another cool thing about the vise. You can use the vise to kind of let that acrylic material kind of spin around and evenly distribute itself. Now I'm going to grab my Solaris torch. Hopefully this doesn't blow the camera out. And
looks pretty cool. I don't know how it's going to show up on the Facebook Live, but on the Zoom it looks cool.
Okay. And that's what I love about that Solaris. That stuff is hard as a rock right now. All that material is tied in. Okay. And then what we would do is we would take, and I'll do this here in a second, but I want to show you something first. We would take and we would cut this here, and we would cut it here, and then that's your fly. Okay. But what I want to show you, when you have a fly, or when you have a tube rather, and you're tying real small flies on it, before you take it off, just take this, fold it forward. Make sure you give yourself enough room, but then we'll come back here. We'll lay down a second thread base. Okay. And we would finish tying our fly. We would whip it, cut it off. Okay. Then you would have two on there. Then we would come back here towards the end. Now this is the small mandrel. It's the 40,000 mandrel, so it's a little it's a little weak here out on the end, but you can still do what you need to do. All right, there would be your third fly. You would finish it in the same way that that I finished the first one. Okay, so you would have 3 or 4 or however many of them on here that that you could tie. Now we're just going to take.
So we got a question: how long's the actual fly? Like 1.5 inches, 2 inches?
Well, I'm gonna get, if I can get this off here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, now we would have 3 of them on there. Okay, so we would come in here with our scissors. Cut it. Cut it. And that's your fly. Your tippet would go through here. And now obviously not this hook would be way too big for this fly, but your hook would come in at the back of the tube here. And when the fish bites, this would slide up out of the way, and then you would just have your hook exposed. The other benefit that I forgot to mention earlier about the tube flies is you have the option of running them hook point down or hook point up if you choose. Okay, so that's the first tube fly. That's called the Iceman Minnow. It's a Greg Senyo, Patrick Robinson pattern from Steelhead Alley Outfitters. So if we have any questions on that, let me know. If not, we'll start moving on to the next fly. That's a cool, simple little pattern that you can really use to fill your boxes up with.
We got to get out there in the spring to fish it, because that's the time it really works, is in the spring.
I did tie Bunch of straight bass streamers. Yeah. You know, it's like I said, as I said earlier, if you weren't here, out our area, you know, if you're on the East Coast, tube flies are just not that popular, and they're gaining in popularity, but they're just not that popular.
When people start getting fish that head shake a lot and then realize how much easier it is to keep them on.
Yeah, there are some definite benefits. It's not a cure all for what ails you, and there's, you know, there's downfalls to it as well. But there are some. I turn almost all mine up to avoid snags. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, there's a ton of benefits to it. So it's a good system, and it's a good tool to have in your toolbox. Okay. Oh yeah, that's this. Where did it go? So I tied the first one. So this, I didn't want to tie all 3 flies, but if you have a long tube, you could tie multiple of these on one tube without removing it from the vise. So you would have one here, and then one here, and then one here, and then one here. So you could effectively, on that length mandrel, you could probably get 4 of these. So it speeds your tying up a little bit. All right, let's move on to the next one. So we've talked about the surgical tubing. We've talked about the, I think that fly would work in saltwater. I know it will work in saltwater, Mike. We talked about the different tubes. One of my favorite systems, tube fly system, is from it's Pro Tube, and it's from Pro Sport Fisher. Okay, so this is what the logo looks like. Okay. Oh, let me hold it up to this camera. This is what the logo looks like. These are, without a doubt, in my opinion, the best tube fly and tube fly system on the market. I am not being paid to say that. They do not sponsor me. I am not even on their pro staff. They are, without a doubt, the best system out there. And when I say system, they have a whole series of different tubes. This is the actual tube that we would tie on. They come in a variety of different colors. Okay. They have hook junction tubing, or hook guides as they're called, which are a really soft, pliable plastic. And what that does, your junction tube goes on the back of your tube. What's that,
like
lower?
in front of the needle. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
We're on the other camera now. Okay.
Well, yeah, you couldn't see what you were doing with the first one.
So the junction tube goes on to the tube. It's a soft, pliable plastic, and what it does, and this is not the right type of hook that we would use for this, but what the soft hook guide does is it allows your hook to go up inside. So it kind of creates a rigid system, but then it can pop right off. Okay, which is kind of cool. Now, this brings me to my trivia question for this week, and this is going to be a tough one. And only people that know this answer are going to know it.
So what you're saying is we're shipping something to Patrick?
He might. Patrick might get it. Okay.
We will go back through the comments afterwards and determine the winner, just so there's no mix up.
Yeah. There's a lag on this, and some people respond. So we're not going to announce the winner right now. We will go back through later tonight, and whoever has the timestamp the earliest with the correct answer, we'll send you a Nor-vise t-shirt. Okay, so here's the question. The intruder, one of the most popular steelhead flies out there. The early intruders were not tied on tubes; they were tied on shanks. But the way that Jerry French and Ed Ward did them, it was kind of weird in that you would have a shank, say similar to this mandrel here, and that thing's flashing. I don't know what that means. It would have two loops, and I think they actually used fly line backing, just 2 small loops, one here, and they started with one on the end, and then they stopped after a while.
It means the battery's low.
Oh, okay. So the batteries are low on our microphone. So And what they would do, they would tie the fly on the shank, and then your tippet would run down the outside of the fly. They would run it through this little loop that was here, run down through the outside of the fly, and then onto a material that they were first starting to use for the junction tubing. It's a fairly common household material, or it was a fairly common material back when they started doing this. So the question is, and like I said, it's going to be a tough one. What was the first material that they used to make the junction tubing or the hook guide in the original intruders? And if you know the answer, you're going to know it, but you're going to have to be a serious fly tyer, and more importantly, a serious intruder guy to know what it was.
All right, give us 1 second. We're going to swap batteries out.
We're going to swap these batteries out of this microphone. Yes, sir. Sorry, late. Just got in from guiding. How was your trip?
Yeah. All right, we're back up.
All right, we should be back up. All right. So the other thing that I like about the Pro Tube is that they have a mandrel, and it actually works beautifully with our tube fly attachment. It's a tapered mandrel. It's tapered this way, and then it's flat on the sides. And that allows us to pinch it with our 2 set screws. It works best with our, this is their medium mandrel, and I believe this works with our medium-sized collet. So it works. Oh, they're getting close. They're getting close with the answers. Nobody's got it yet.
Apparently they can hear Shannon say "good wild trail."
Okay. All right. So I'm going, because I'm tying on the Pro Tube, I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to put their mandrel in. So just show you how easy this is. Swap mandrels. I'm just going to loosen that, slide it out. Oh, I got to swap collets. All right, so we're going to swap this out. I'm going to put our medium-sized collet on. So you guys, easy, in and out. It's a piece of cake.
I didn't even hear what the question was because I was getting batteries.
Okay, so the question is the original intruder that Jerry French and Ed Ward tied. It wasn't tied on a tube, it was tied on a shank. But what they did, they used a very small piece of, I believe they used fly line backing, and they made a very small loop here at the front. And then they would run the tippet through the loop, and the tippet would actually go down the outside of the fly onto the hook. And then they used the material to junction the hook to the end of the shank. And the question is, what is the material that they used? And it was a fairly common household item. It's not as common anymore, but back when they were first working this pattern out, it was fairly common. And there's a whole story behind it as far as how they came up with it. All right. So the other thing that I like about Pro Tube, so here's one of their tubes. They have a whole series of weights and cones and different things that are all set up to work with their system. So this is what they call a drop shot weight, and we're going to use this tonight. And the hole that's through the center of the weight matches the hole that's through the center of the and matches the outer diameter of the tube. So it all goes together. They all fit. It fits nice and tight. They have these sonic discs, which are these cool cones that go on the front of the fly and let the water through, and it really disrupts the water on the front. They fit the front of the fly. So they have all these different things for weights. They have regular cones. They have sonic cones. All kinds of stuff. And it all works integral with their system. And they have several different tubes. Several different hook junctions. They come in a multitude of different colors. Like I said, I am not getting paid to say this. I am not even on their pro staff. I just believe this to be the best tube system that's out on the market. So I've got my tube. I'm going to slide it on, and this is the beauty of the tapered mandrel. You just slide it on until it stops, and then when you're done tying, it comes right off. You just slide it off. Great system. This is their medium mandrel. They also have a large mandrel. Medium mandrel works great with our 60 thousandths or our medium collet, and then their large one will work with our bigger one, our 80 thousandths. All right, so we're just going to tie a simple tube fly. We've been doing a lot of micro spay, a lot of two-handed trout fishing. This is a very simple fly. It's called a popsicle. Okay, and we're going to use a couple of materials to support this this Marabou wing. Very easy fly to tie, but yet very effective and moves great in the water. Plastic straw. Yeah, coffee stirs. John McMinn's right. They use all kinds of things for tubes, but I have not seen the correct answer as to the Jerry French hook junction material. All right, so we're going to tie on. And I'm just going to lay down a little thread base. I don't want a lot here. I'm going to half hitch, and I'm going to go on the cradle. A bit of hot orange ice tub.
Can't really see the dubbing.
Because of the shirt, yeah. You'll see it when I put it on the tube. So I've got my dubbing teased out.
Thread's the same color.
I know. I've got the dubbing teased out. I'm going to spin the vise. I'm going to touch the dubbing to the thread. It's going to jump out of my fingers right up onto the vise. I want a little bit more than that. Okay, now I'm going to pinch it here to tighten it up. Okay. Got my noodle set to the size that I want. I'm going to come off the cradle, and I'm going to work my way to the back right up against the step here, and I'm just going to work this forward. Okay, now, kind of weird what we're going to do here. I'm going to whip finish.
Earlier you were saying whip it. I was instructed by Casey to say whip it real good.
Oh my God. Do you even know what that means? Do you?
No.
No. Yeah. It's a song from a band.
She texted me and said it. Every time he says whip it, I'm waiting to hear whip it real good afterwards. I told her that I'd throw it in there for her.
Yeah, he's too young for that. All right, so
be careful, you make her feel old, your phone's gonna blow up, you're getting in trouble.
We just laid some dubbing down. Now I'm going to take one of these drop shots. Now typically you would put it on this way. Let me, so my fat finger so you can see it. It would typically go on this way, and it would go on at the back, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this weight, I'm going to flip it over. Devo, yeah, everybody, Devo. Yeah, he's a little young for Devo, guys.
26.
So we're going to slide it on, and I'm actually going to put this thing on backwards, and I'm going to push it right up against that dubbing body that I laid down. Now what this does, the shape of this with the bigger part of the teardrop being in the front, this is going to help support my Marabou wing. Okay, so now I'm going to take, and this is going to wind up being a smaller one for say like something we would use for trout spag. This is actually a steelhead pattern that it's called the popsicle, and you can tie them very, very large. All right. So now we're going to do a little bit of blended Marabou here. So I've got some, this is shell pink. Okay. And
is that your nature spirit Marabou?
No, this is actually hairline.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Because you couldn't find your nature spirit.
It was a mad dash to get this prepped here tonight. We were out on the water today, and it's our second trip down in our new drift raft, and we had a good day. It was the second shakedown run for the boat, and it was just kind of ran out of time. So okay, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a feather that's straight, and I want these
down lower.
Okay,
see the tip.
Okay, straight.
There you go.
And I want these barbules coming off, and I want nice even, not tore up, not, you know, twisted or anything like that. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to strip this fuzzy stuff here off the bottom. What do you say? Devo is from my hometown. Saw them in the mid-'70s at a neighborhood party while they were still playing R&R. Oh, cool. All right, so that's what we're looking for as far as our feather being prepped. Okay, now I'm just going to lay this down on my base. Now, here, and I'm going to get same type of feather in olive. And you can do all kinds of different colors. This is why I love tying this type of pattern with Marabou. I love doing blended Marabou. We have a whole series of flies called the Snot Rocket that we designed for fishing for chain pickerel, but we've used them on northern pike, and we're going to use them on muskie as well. So,
and striper, and bass,
and
mock salmon. And
Marabou's a great material, and it gets a bum rap, I think, for not being durable. And I want to show you a way to strengthen this up. So there's my olive, and then here's my shell pink, and you can do any color combination that you want. I like this one.
It just screams baby brook trout imitation to me.
Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to grab it by the tip, and I'm going to stroke these fibers back like so. Okay, now I'm going to wet the end of it. Okay. This is where we're going to tie in. This is going to be wrapped around the shank of the hook, or in this case, around the tube. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to the shell pink. I'm going to grab it by the tip, and I'm going to stroke it back. Okay. Now I'm going to lay these. You can't see this, but I'll show it to you before I tie it on. I'm going to lay these right on top of each other, and I want, where I've stroked these fibers back, this tying point, I want it to be about even on both feathers. Okay. Now I'm going to tie this in right in front of that weight by the tip. And I'm going to wrap forward. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these two tips, I'm going to fold them back, and then I'm going to wrap back right up against the weight. That will help these from pulling out when you're palmering the Marabou. Okay. Now I'm going to half hitch, and I'm going to go on my cradle. What is the question again? What is the question again? I would like to try to get the end. Okay. There's a close one. Okay. The question is on the original.
Is it insulation for speaker wire?
It is.
All right. I've seen that come up a couple of times.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't know who officially has answered it. It has been answered.
Okay. So it's the insulation, what they used.
I just got a t-shirt. Whatever.
It was the insulation on the outside of speaker wire. So when people actually had stereos, and you had the wire that ran from the back of the stereo to the back of the speaker, they would cut that, and it had like a gray coating on the outside. They would pull the wire out from the inside, and you would have this hollow gray pliable tube, and that's what they used for the original hook junction in the original intruders. So I don't know who got it right.
I had seen it a couple times. I just wasn't sure. So
yeah. So yeah. Okay. I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them now. So yeah, that's what it was. So we'll go back through, and we'll take a look at whomever got it right, and we'll send you a PM, and we'll get you a t-shirt out. All right. So now I've got these two feathers tied in by the tip. Now, this is one time where you got to be careful when you're rotating the vise, because you don't want to get any of this stuff trapped underneath. So I'm just going to very slowly rotate this around, and I'm going to get a turn, and I'm going to lock it, and then I'm going to kind of pull these out, and I'm just going to keep working this around
You don't use your bodkin to pick them out?
I do.
Never mind.
I'm getting my bodkin, and then I'm gonna pick these out. And you can see what this is doing is it's giving a real cool. As you're palmering it, you're moving it forward, and you get this super cool blended. Yeah,
you can't see it super well right now. You'll be able to see.
All right, when I get it all done and get everything on here and get it tied down, you'll be able to see what it is that I'm talking about. And you just do a turn, and then you pick them out. You keep stroking them back, and you got to keep working with it. But once you get it on there, it gives a super cool. It's kind of like every other wrap. It's alternating olive and pink and olive and pink, and I like this color combination, especially in the spring. This olive and pink combination is killer. There's a very famous musky fisherman who will tell you that one of his favorite color combos is olive and pink.
Who's that?
Blaine.
Oh, he put up a picture of a snakehead today, so I don't know if he was with it today. But
oh, really?
I don't know where my snakehead invitation is.
All right, so now we'll stroke all this back, and I'll come in here, and I've got a couple trapped, and I'm just going to pull these out. This pattern moves like crazy in the water. And where's my little brush? But you can see how that drop shot weight being tied in backwards that way is really supporting the Marabou. Okay, so now I'll stroke all this back. There we go. Just work with it, it'll go. Trust me. Okay, now I've got my bare stems down here underneath. And I'm going to take my auto bobbin, and boom, I'm right back in and tying. And I'm going to get several good tight wraps on these stems. Okay, so I got several behind. Now I'm going to move this back. Hope I didn't just knock the camera out of whack. And I'm going to get several in front. And I got this locked down. And I'm going to come in here with my fine scissors. And I'm going to cut that out. Okay, now come in here from the front with my bodkin, and I'm just kind of running this almost to the just kind of parallel with the tube. Keep wanting to say hook shank. And I'm just picking this all out. Now I'm going to fold this back. And I'm going to tie this down. Now this is where Marabou gets a bum rap. The most vulnerable, or the most not durable part of this feather is the stem. And that's what happens a lot when you're palmering Marabou is the stem will blow and then the feather will unwrap. This stuff out here, because it's so light and wispy, it's actually very durable, and fish can chew on this for quite a while. And like I said, this original technique that I started using it for was for a series of flies that we tie called the snot rocket, and they're anywhere from 3 inches up to, we tie triple articulated ones that are, I don't know, 8-9 inches long. They're all tied out of Marabou. They cast horribly. They literally cast like a wet sock, but they're great when they move in the water. So what we do once we get it tied on, okay, this right here, all your stem, your palmered stems are underneath this. Okay, so all we do is come here and pull your Marabou back, and you just wrap your thread back on the stems, and then we'll go back to the front and back to the back and back to the front.
And you put any Solares or anything on it?
Well,
durable?
I'm going to put a cone on this one, but if you were just doing that and you were going to leave it that way, I would definitely head cement it and Solares it.
Like a fish skull.
I would want that to be as durable as possible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to whip finish it.
Real good.
Whip it real good. Devo reference.
It was like Shannon and Pat.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in the same age.
Yeah, because we're all the same age. We're all coming up on either coming up or just past the big 5-0. So, okay, we're going to get that back now. Look in the water. That's how that thing moves in the water. It moves just like that. This is a absolutely simple fly to tie, and it is a killer pattern. So we'll just brush this back. Okay, now I can come forward. You can see there's my dubbed body. There's my drop shot weight, but you can see this Marabou, when I brush it back, this Marabou is literally right up against the face of that drop shot weight, and that the surface area on that weight being tied in backwards supports it, and it gives it this shape, this kind of veiled or coned back over shape that we're looking for. We'll just brush it back, and you can put flash in there if you want. You can do different colors if you want. There's no rules here. Possibilities literally are endless. Okay, now I'm going to take this little sonic disc, which is designed to fit right on the tube. I'm going to stuff it on the front. Okay. Just like so. I'm going to take my thread. I'm going to come here and I'm going to tie back on. I don't want a lot of thread in the front of this. I just want enough to give me a nice clean finish and to hold that. Okay. Pull this back, and I'm just going to basically I'm wrapping right on top of one another, and I just want to build a very small thread dam in front of that cone. Okay. Okay, now we'll cut this off. And I'm going to come back in here with my Solares Thin Hard. This stuff is great. And I'm just going to put a little bead on the front of my thread wraps. Just going to kind of let that flow around a little bit. Spin it, not too crazy. And then hit it with the light. Ooh, I grabbed my dubbing brush, hit it with the light. And there you go. So now we've got our Marabou. The great thing about tubes is you don't bleed from stabbing yourself with a hook point. That's true. All right, so now we've got our Marabou. We've got our stems that are palmered around this tube. They are reinforced with your thread. Then I've put this sonic disc over top, which further reinforces them. And I've bound that down with a thread dam and put Solares on it. This thing is extremely durable at this point, and the Marabou will last a lot longer than you think it will. Now, when we're done, it's on a taper.
Yeah, Steven Siska, who's the guy on the upper small Susquehanna with the jet boat, has said that the Susquehanna is getting hot.
And there you go. Just a super, super cool pattern. If you look at it from the front, you can see how the pink and the olive blend together.
Chris Martin said, amazing looking fly, but this is turning out to be the longest shit of my life. My legs went numb long ago.
Oh, my God. Come on, dude. So, all right. So there you go. We did the Iceman Minnow, and we did my version after 8 o'clock. if you guys have any questions, we'll hang out. Oh, one final thing. I would take and I would clip this off, and I don't have it down here, but I would take a lighter and I would just singe the end of this just a little bit to kind of roll it over, and then you're done.
So Rick Flink said he likes the idea of tube flies, but salmon and steelhead are hard to find in Montana. What about some trout tube flies?
That I throw this for trout all the time. This is one of my trout tube flies.
And the other one will work for trout.
I'll throw this. Yeah, this little the little Iceman, it would work for trout for sure. This one, I like this color combo, this pink and olive, and I also like tan, like light tan, and dark, like real dark brown. This is kind of like a rainbow troutish kind of deal. The light tan and dark brown, I think is a sculpin pattern. I think it has the look of a sculpin. I would do tan laser dub here, and I would do a gold weight on it. But yeah, this I throw this for trout all the time. All right, guys, any questions? How did you like the new setup now that we got it to run once through the whole night?
Oh, I got a text from Marvin that said he got a chance to check in and it looks good.
That's good.
I texted him and told him, like, hey, check it out.
Yeah. So, yeah, let us know what you think of the new setup. Like I said, we'll hang out here for another 5 minutes or so. What is the tube company again? It's called Pro Tube, or it's Pro Sport Fisher. The best source that I have found personally, it's they're from across the pond, but in the States, the best source that I have found is Caddis Fly Shop. It has a full, they have everything, and you can mail order from them, and you'll have it in a couple of days. What size mandrel? This was the medium. If you're speaking of the Pro Tube, this was the medium mandrel, which works well with our medium or 060 diameter collet. Okay. In our tube fly setup, in the packaging, it says that there's a DVD in the package. We're working on updating a lot of our packaging. There is no DVD in it. The reason that there's no DVD in it is because we put all the videos up on the website for free. So if you want to see more, or you want to see, Norm tie on this thing, it's up on the website. All right, no comments on the new setup with the 2 cameras and all that?
I've got half a dozen comments.
Oh, okay.
From Brian Davenport to Mark Stover.
Oh, cool.
LeBlanc.
How could the sound was good, with the exception of the batteries going dead. You guys could hear me because we've got the microphone. I didn't want it up on my lapel because you can hear like it rubbing on my shirt. So we put it down here by the vise. Everybody could see. Everybody could hear. Pat O'Neill, who caught the most fish today?
Me. I caught 5.
I think Tyler did. I think he caught more than you did.
So, all right. Could you do tubes for saltwater on the East Coast? Yes, absolutely. There's guys that fish for stripers with tubes.
Absolutely, yeah, guys that fish with stripers. And you can tie any pattern. You can tie clousers on tubes. You can tie deceivers on tubes. Any pattern that you can tie. Brian Davenport, got to get some gray shirts. All right. I'll look into that.
One of the benefits to the tubes is a lot of times guys use them for pike a lot because it helps get the fly away from the fish's teeth. So if you're on the East Coast and you're chasing like albies or bluefish, it may not be a bad idea if you can get it up. If it'll slide up and off, and you can get it.
Dick Rochelle blues also. And another thing about if you're using tubes and you're using a wire leader, the tube will have a tendency to hide the wire a little better than tying the wire onto the right onto the hook. So
the knot is hidden as opposed to the knot being on the front of the fly.
Yep.
Where do you get the little round metal thingies, and what are they called?
The little round.
The little discs.
It's a Pro Tube product. It's a whole system that they make. That they've got. There's the drop shot weight. Oh, we're on the other camera. There's the drop shot weight. There's some of the junction tubes. There's another junction tube. They have cones. They have the sonic discs. They have beads. They have different weights other than the drop shot weights. They have tons and tons of stuff, and that's why I love the system, because really anything that you could anything that you could want in a tube fly or two fly system, they have, and the stuff is first class. Braden's down fishing in Harker's Island. I know he caught a lizard fish and some sharks. Not sure how many. Okay. Did he eat this time before he went out on the boat?
I got in trouble for bringing that up on social media. You're not allowed to say anything. Marched over said, "Are the shad in yet? The shad are here and gone."
Yeah, shad are gone.
And he said, "Miss your spay cast lessons," even though I didn't get it.
You got it. You just had to practice. That was the problem. You didn't have time to practice in between the lessons. So each lesson we kind of had to start over. But it's keep working at it. You'll get it. I know you're down in Florida now, not the epicenter of spay casting, but you can get it for sure.
You can spay cast off the beach and launch that thing.
All right, guys. Any other questions?
We got a 20-second delay, so.
Yeah, right.
I'll take a nap. Wake me up when we catch up. Casey goes, "I can tell you to shut up, Tyler, not your dad." Like, doesn't mean I'm going to listen either way.
Oh, I imagine she'll tell me to shut up if she needs to.
As long as she doesn't hit you with that big ring like she hits me with, that thing hurts.
Don't do anything to get hit. How about that? All right, guys, we're going to sign off. I'll go back through the questions a little bit later tonight, and if I missed anything, I will answer them, and then I'll check in, periodically through the week, and we will look into who answered the question right. The question was, Ed Ward and Jerry French, what did they use for junction tubing on the original Intruders? And it was the insulation off the outside of stereo speaker wire. That's what they used. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. I'm glad that the new system worked, at least when we got it up and going. We're going to sign off. If we'll be on next week. I'm not sure who's on. It will not be me.
Grant.
Oh, Grant. Oh, okay. So Grant is on next week, and the title is Snakehead Night. So if you guys are interested in snakeheads, which are a super, super cool fish, you definitely don't want to miss it.
If you're curious about it at all, you can go look on Blaine Chocolate's profile and the most recent picture he put up, and that was one that Grant helped guide him to recently.
There you go. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a good week, and if you need anything, please feel free to reach out.